Hi there, my name's Bernie Solo. My YouTube channel is Works by Solo, and the rest of my socials are Works by Solo. And my website is worksbysolo.com. So if you want to track me down, it's not too hard. Well, as far as defining myself, I really like the term maker because it covers so many things. As a professional, I've done advertising artwork for over 30 years, which included illustration, photography, 3D renderings, like CGI, imaging for advertising, mostly automotive. I went to art school. I do have my Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree in commercial art. So I've always been an artist ever since I was a kid in school, and then, like I said, I went to art school. So I'm very fortunate. I've always been doing something creative and getting paid for it, which is amazing. So in the last few years, I've been getting into doing more 3D type stuff because the advertising work that I was doing primarily was two-dimensional. It was advertising, so it was even if it was on the internet, it was two-dimensional. Advertising, print advertising, imaging, things like that. And so when I started doing the CGI type imaging, I was working with 3D data in the computer, but the output was two-dimensional. And I had all this 3D data, and I really wanted to kind of get it out of the computer and make it real. So in about 2010, my son and I built our first 3D printer, and I was able to get my CAD out of the computer and in my hands, and that was a big turning point for me. So these days, Maker really applies to me, I believe, because it depends on what I'm doing. I really enjoy the design process. Sometimes I really like figuring out the design almost more than I like executing the finished product or project. I also enjoy the fabrication process. I've been learning some metal machining work. I've done a little bit of welding. I can do some woodwork. I enjoy cutting things out of plastic. If you go look at my YouTube channel, you'll see I'm kind of all over the board as far as my projects go. I have many, many interests. I just like to do a lot of different things. And then when it comes to YouTube, well, I'm a cameraman. I like shooting still photography. I like shooting video. I enjoy editing the video, and I've been learning more about sound. And most of my videos have music in them, so I really like music. I don't play any music myself. I'm not musical in that sense. I just have a real appreciation for music and musicians. Well, the last project that I worked on was pencils. So I made a bunch of pencils out of a bunch of different kinds of scrap wood that I had here. So I used several different species of wood, and the point is that the pencils can be made from scrap wood because, well, they're pencils, they're pretty small, so you don't need a lot of wood to make them. The little bit of self-discovery there was I set out to make pencils on my CNC router, and it turns out the part that I enjoyed the most was making the ferrules, which are the metal pieces that connect the wood to the eraser. You probably know what I'm talking about. And I turned those on my metal lathe out of brass and aluminum, and I just really enjoyed it. Each one of them is its own little sculpture, and it was really cool. I really liked that project. My favorite tool would be, I guess, whatever I'm obsessed with at the moment, because I can get some brainstorms, like with the pencils that I just recently made with my CNC router. I really enjoyed that part of it, the digital design part, but then I got into doing the lathe work for the ferrules, and I really enjoyed that. So, and then I also have a wood lathe that I just acquired from a school auction. It's a lathe from an old school wood shop. And I've been turning some wood, and I made a few pens recently, and I really enjoyed doing that too. Now I can see why people get hooked on making pens and pencils. And I know we're talking about the tools category here, but as far as tools, resources, or things that you can use to make things, I guess I like to think about stuff a lot. I really like to design things, and I like to brainstorm. So does my brain count as my favorite tool sometimes? Maybe. So let's see, what would my favorite project be? It's usually the most recent one, but there's one that does stand out to me, and it's a lamp that I designed for a Quickcrete challenge that I did a couple of years ago. This lamp is in the mid-century modern style, which I really like, and I've studied that for a long time. It's probably my favorite style, and I enjoyed the design process pretty as much or more than the fabrication process. And it was quite a challenge as far as the CNC router. I was doing a lot of three-dimensional carving with the router. I carved some molds and carved the wooden pieces for that one. So that's probably going to be my pick as far as my favorite project so far. Well, as far as skills that I would like to still learn, I would like to learn more about metal in general. I would like to learn a bit more about blacksmithing and welding, which I guess those two might, pretty much go together. So yeah, I'd say metalworking in general. I really enjoy machining metal. I have a metal lathe that I've been working on, learning that. I do not have a mill like a Bridgeport type of machine, and I don't have one of those. There's a makerspace near me that I can use them, and I want to learn more about that. I guess machining, milling, metal, making metal parts on a mill. That would be something I think I would look forward to learning that. Yeah, definitely. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for me. I'd like to say thanks to Gil for inviting me on to Makers Monday. It's quite an honor to be in this group of makers that you have on this channel. If anybody out there would like to keep track of what I'm up to, go to my website, join my newsletter, and I will be sending out updates as to what's going on. And I'd like to remind you guys, go back and watch the other episodes of Makers Monday, because there's some pretty cool people on here. So until later, take care, and we'll see you on the internet.